Hi, welcome to this edition of the Town Council Update for Breckenridge, April 28th, 2015. I'm Kim Dykstra with the Town of Breckenridge, here to give you the highlights along with our Town Manager, Tim Gagan. For any kind of other information, we've got some Pardon Our Dust public project updates, as well as just lots of things going on around town. Please visit us online at townofbreckenridge.com or on our Facebook or Twitter, or make sure that you sign up for SC Alert so that if we have some road closures that we can inform you of what's going on your route. April 28th, let's hear from Town Manager Tim Gagan on the highlights of the Town Council meeting. So the April 28th Town Council meeting, the last one actually before our spring retreat that we'll be having on May 12th. So kind of a setup for that as well as some other things. One of the legislative items that we talked about was, of course, having to do with marijuana.
Yes. We actually have an ordinance that the council passed about a year ago that actually put a moratorium on any new licenses, particularly during the controversy that was going on about where to locate, whether downtown and the vote. So the council has until July to decide whether or not they want that date to expire or to be continued. So the staff brought forward a recommendation that given the change to move everything out to Airport Road, and given some of the impacts we're seeing out there, a lot of traffic, particularly in the evening time with people walking across streets and things like that, and we're going to make some changes in the coming year to see if we can improve that safety. The staff recommended maybe it'd be best before we entertain any new licenses that we could take another year to see how things wash out. And so the council agreed with that and put on first reading an extension of the moratorium for one more year.
And that's just on new businesses coming in?
That's right, that's right. The existing businesses and the current licenses are all fine. They can be transferred or whatever, but no new ones.
Great, okay. And something that you personally have been working on for, let's see, how long now? And it's in a franchise agreement with Comcast.
Right. We have a current franchise, or have a current franchise agreement that expired in 2013 with Comcast, and that's essentially the right to be able to work in our right-of-ways, and they pay us a fee for that. But with that, they also kind of guarantee service to all the community through the cable system if people want it. And we also have a little special relationship with Comcast in that we have a lease to them for a number of years, even before they owned it, the Head End property, which is out on Wellington Road. So we had to deal with renewing the franchise, which now is ready after a couple years of negotiation, and that'll be renewed for 10 years, and then the lease was also renewed for 10 years. So we'll continue to have a relationship with Comcast in that regard. And there are a couple other updated things, for instance, the customer service standards. The public has a right to complain about Comcast if they're not providing adequate service, and we have a mechanism by which we field those complaints and then address them with Comcast. And then the last thing is what they call an INET agreement. It's a new document that all the cable companies, I guess, are using. It essentially says that if you want to buy additional services from them, here's how you do it. And in particular, they give local governments, because of the relationship they have, a special discount if you want to extend fiber to new buildings or something else. So all those agreements were before the council. We put them on first reading, and the council accepted those, so we should see second reading fairly shortly.
Great, thanks. Another legislative item that we're very excited about, because it's been, again, a lot of leading up to it, and it's very exciting for our community to have some affordable rental properties here.
Right.
We're just in a very, very short need, or a shortage and a high need for rental properties here.
Particularly at some of the lower AMIs or the area median incomes. This project is very, very exciting. As you say, we started this, I want to say 10 years ago with a Forest Service exchange over by the Claim Jumper and the Pinewood 1 project, with the idea that this would be a perfect site for expanding our rental housing. And then in the last year, the rental crisis has just hit us right smack in the, everywhere. There just isn't an availability of long-term rental properties. So we're starting construction, but first we have to sign all the documents. So the action the council took was getting all the legal paperwork, because we're taking advantage of what we call a low-income tax credit program, which actually returns money back to the project to make it cheaper Doesn't cheapen the quality, it just cheapens the price, so that we can offer those rents at a lower rent, so we can address more of the service worker, startup type of workers throughout our community. So we'll be offering all 45 of those units at 60% of AMI or below.
Great. Very exciting for our community.
And it should be open by 2016.
Great.
And construction has started.
Well, speaking of construction, it is spring.
Yes, it has. Yes.
So lots of construction and public projects going on.
Yeah, we have all of our activities. We try to compress a lot into the spring period, particularly the mud season time period, and people are seeing that. We have a lot of projects that are being finished up. Prospector Park on Main Street is off and running. We have a lot of median work on Highway 9. Our Masonic Hall is moving towards trying to get completion by June of this year. All this work is intended to try to get either complete or at least buttoned up before July 4th. So people will see a lot of activity, and some of it isn't all ours. Even on Highway 9, there's some work by the CDOT contractor. But it's spring, and when spring comes, it's construction season.
Yeah, and it's even just fixing up things,
Right.
Holes and curbs and that type of thing.
That's right, concrete. And by the way, we do maintain a website with information on all these projects, and people can check in with them to see the progress, and also when there'll be delays or road closures or those type of things.
Right, we're keeping it under projects and issues under Pardon Our Dust, and then if there are some road closures and things that will affect your traffic, we will be alerting them on Summit County Alert System.
Right.
So, great. Financials, another great thing that we like to talk about.
Well, and we're looking at what we call the February sales tax, and then March, which is all of the rest of the money we collect. And things are tracking well. Through March, we're slightly ahead of budget on revenue, and expenses are slightly below, even with a fairly unusual winter with snow plowing. And with the sales tax, we're actually tracking very well through the first 2 months. We think March will be probably a little less robust, but we did see a 9% increase in February, and that follows a fairly substantial increase in January. And that's indicative of what we're hearing from the ski area and the businesses and the general Summit County is there were a lot of visitation during the early part of winter, and that early snow and everything else seemed to be working. So we're expecting probably another year where we're going to be up overall for the winter season and going into summer. And our real estate transfer taxes, though it was slightly below what we collected the prior year, is still tracking on budget or slightly ahead of budget.
It's good news for all around. And then a couple of things that we've had the council, we're trying to prep them for this retreat on May 12th, and that's their spring retreat, but they talk about their goals and kind of look long term.
Right.
And so one of them was the parking in transit.
Yeah, this is probably the biggest project the council's undertaken in the last year. Their goal that they set last year for us, for the staff and for themselves, is to come up with a comprehensive parking transit plan. We've had a number of studies done through the years that have recommended different things, and we have piecemealed little changes here and there to try to encourage employees to park away from the core town, or at least not on Main Street or in the key core parking lots. And generally that hasn't worked, though some people do a great job. They either take the bus in or park in more appropriate spots. But it's a real challenge, and so the council set a goal of focusing on making sure our guests have the prime parking, because they're the ones spending the money and driving all of our economy here, but still having a program that accommodates employees. And so this plan looks at parking transit, aspects of a parking structure possibility, where employees should park, how do you incentivize people to get into transit, intercept lots north and south of town so that as you come into town you don't need to drive in all the way, and then free up spots down in the core town for our guests. So we've had a task force working for the last 8 months. They've been doing great work. They're citizens throughout the community representing all aspects of retail, lodging, restaurants, general citizenry, and they've had a tough task, and they've really turned over all the rocks to see if there's a magic bullet out there to solve our congestion problems along with the parking. So the retreat is going to be the culmination of all that, but we presented the last pieces of information at the council meeting, and this was really a briefing for the council to get all of the facts that we've gathered over the last 8 months, along with all the cost of what it will take to do this, or choices to do this. So The May 12th meeting, a substantial part of it is going to be talking about all those pieces and what is that plan. And then not only what is the plan, but when are we going to do it?
Right, right. Well, speaking of transit, we've gone into our summer hours, our summer routes, as has Summit Stage, but the Breckenridge Free Ride. And we've had some folks a little concerned about the lack of the black route,
Right.
and really the reasons for that are mainly because we've had to the monies have been cut back. We've had to cut back on staffing over the past few years, and really people during the summer they get on their bikes and they ride, so the ridership is not as high.
Right.
So it's been a challenge to kind of balance all those needs, but the council felt like the black route was something they want to instill.
Right. Yeah, the black route's one we've tried different ways to try to continue to accommodate. During the middle of the summer, during the daytime hours after like rush hour and in the early evening, there was a bus, and there would be a bus this year. But it doesn't really deal with the early hours when workers are heading to work. Now, are we looking at huge numbers? No, but they are the people that are up on Ski Hill Road that, it's a little bit of a jog to get down into town. And the council has, part of this whole parking transit discussion is how do we try to incentivize employees to get into transit? So when you actually don't have service or you cut back service, that leaves a void, and then their choices will be to drive a car or something else like that. So the council felt that this is probably one of those pieces we would put into the plan anyway. So we're going to go ahead and put back in the black route in conjunction actually with our yellow and brown route, so that we can actually enhance service on the yellow route and brown route, which actually is very heavily used during all year round, and still be able to do those morning hours and late afternoon hours when the workers are moving back and forth to and from work. So that will be put back in place, I think within about 2 weeks, if we have the staffing that we can get on board pretty quick.
Great. Okay. Thanks, Tim.
Sure.
There you have it. A fair amount going on in the town of Breckenridge, even in this kind of what we would call shoulder season. The next day that we have coming up is a full day retreat with the council. It's our spring retreat. It is May 12th, and if you're interested, it's a full day agenda from starting at 8 a.m. and going till about 5 p.m. The agenda will be online along with a packet that talks all about the things that they'll be talking about. Public is invited and encouraged to attend to find out what we're talking about on that full day retreat on May 12th. The next regular town council meeting will be a short version of that on May 12th there at the Breckenridge Grand Vacations Community Center, where we will be having that May 12th town council retreat. There'll be a short regular meeting as part of that, and then we'll resume back to our regular meetings and work sessions on May 28th, which is the fourth Tuesday of the month. If you're interested in more information, please visit us online, townofbreckenridge.com, and please get involved with the town of Breckenridge, and we look forward to seeing you at our next town council meeting.